I need to put out a disclaimer before we go any further. I do not own Livescope. I have never used Lowrance Active Target. Do not own any forward-facing sonar, and I have a lot of experience with Garmin Livescope.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Oh my gosh! It's a whale! 9/11. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'm Oklahoma's Worst Angler, and as you can tell by the title today, we're going to talk a little bit about Livescope and the controversies surrounding Livescope. So lately, there seems to be quite the buzz going on. You know, I mean, OHIV has produced some monster bass in the last week and a half, and it's nothing new for OHIV. It's nothing new for OHIV. Okay, it's just now it's a pretty big deal. You know, and I think we know why. You know, the Sixth Sense crew went out there and they destroyed it. You know, some guys from down here went out there and absolutely killed it. Share Lunker program, I think they're up to like 11. It's an odd number right now. I know they're coming close to the record they had in 2010 on Share Lunkers to come out of OHIV. I mean, the way they manage that lake is insane. But we're not talking about OHIV. We're talking about Livescope. And I got to give you my experience with it. And I got to tell you, you know, some of the things that, you know, I've dealt with, some of the things that I've heard. You know, I've got a couple of buddies in particular that do not like it whatsoever. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you may feel the same way, or you may have a buddy that feels the same way, or you see people talking about it the same way and they call it cheating. Video game fishing. And some of these guys think that, you know, as soon as you get out there and you put that transducer in the water, as my friend John would say, it scares off all the little fish and immediately attracts all the trophy-sized fish. That's not the case. I don't believe it's cheating. It's not a fish attractant. It's nothing except a phenomenal tool. Livescope forward-facing sonar is a phenomenal tool. Now, I guess we can include the 360 from Humminbird. I've never used that either. Okay, so I'm not going to speak on that. All I'm going to speak on today is the Livescope and my experiences with it, and tell you guys maybe a little more insight into it if you don't have any just yet. So if you're unaware of what Livescope is, it is a forward-facing sonar. And I guess the best way to describe it is it's like an ultrasound or like a sonogram under the water. It is real-time ultrasound under the water. You can see fish, you can see structure, everything like that. Now, my first real experience with it was crappie fishing. And then in January of last year, my buddy Chris and I, we went out to a little lake here in Oklahoma. And I know a lot of people know about it now. But we went out and we kind of figured out how to target bass. Now, I don't believe we were the first ones to figure it out, but we kind of figured out how to target bass. It was finding the schools of bait and then scanning that school. And you would find fish underneath, you would find fish behind, you would find fish in the schools. That's what we figured out. And word got out, you know, I mean, word gets out when you figure something out like that. But we had an insane day. I mean, an insane day of going out. Chris was at the front of the boat, using the Livescope. He was calling out the shots to me, telling me where to go, telling me how to reel, how to, you know, retrieve, everything like that. And we had a killer day. Now, the thing is, with Livescope, with these guys going out and catching these massive fish, these humongous fish, I mean, true trophy size caliber fish, is they're still going out there and they're still having to make the fish bite. The thing with YouTube is a lot of the time you're not going to see the countless casts over and over and over trying to figure out how to get these fish to bite, how to trigger them, how to make them react. Now, I've since gone out and, one of my past videos, I kind of figured out some good follow-up techniques. But again, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Livescope and how I don't believe it's cheating. I do believe it is a huge advantage. 100%. It is a huge advantage. If you're watching MLF, I was watching MLF for the weekend, and they were talking about forward-facing sonar, and they were talking about the guys that are fishing offshore and fishing brush piles, and how years ago, nobody would have done that. Nobody would have wasted time on that. But being able to see the fish around these brush piles has been a game changer. It's absolutely a game changer. However, what I do believe, because I've seen it firsthand, is these fish do get conditioned to seeing these baits over and over. These fish do get conditioned to seeing A-rigs, and eventually they stop. Now, we deal with some really pressured waters around here, some good clear waters as well, and we see these fish that will follow an A-rig and then turn around and go back. It's like, no, I've seen that before. I'm not going to touch that. Now, OHIV, I cannot speak for that because I've never been there. But I can assume that these fish down in these, 40, 50 foot waters that are suspended around 30, 40 foot, Baitman TV, he was talking about that, have probably not seen many A-rigs. Probably not a lot of guys have gone out there with scopes and figured out how to target these fish. And that's exactly what Livescope allows you to do. It allows you to target these fish. Again, huge advantage, 100%. But you still have to get these fish to bite. It is not as simple as see fish, cast a fish, catch fish. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way at all. Now, where I think that Livescope is a phenomenal tool, because again, I don't own it. I fish on a lot of boats, a lot of my buddies' boats that don't have it or that do have it. And what it's allowed me to do is learn fish behavior and learn how these baits look under the water. I can, know that if I throw a umbrella rig with 5 1/8 ounce Picasso heads and 4-inch spark shads, I know the fall rate of that A-rig. I know that if I am on my buddy's boat that we have no forward-facing sonar, but we know we're in 20 foot of water, I know how fast that A-rig is going to fall. And I know my retrieve speed to keep it in the right water column. That is where this really comes into play and really helps out a lot. I recently went out to a small lake here in Oklahoma, and I had forward-facing sonar available all day. All freaking day. And I did not catch one fish with the aid of that. I didn't. I was able to see where the fish were, but I was making blind casts. I was looking at fish on the Livescope in front of me or to the side of me and making casts over here. Because by the time I see them, I've already got my line out, and I don't want to lose the fish. I want to be able to see them. I want to be able to watch what they're doing. And I'm seeing these fish actively chasing and targeting little bait or other little bass. It is a huge tool. Again, it's not cheating. And if you have it, don't let anybody shame you for having it. If you don't have it, don't hate on people for having it. Okay? It's just a good tool. There are guys out there that have figured out how to do this, how to actively target these fish with regular 2D sonar. A buddy of mine has got a Garmin Striker 4 on his little bass boat, and he has figured out how to vertical fish pretty much using Livescope with 2D sonar. It is simply the way of the sport and how it's evolving and how it's going to go. Now, my buddy Steve, the OK Fisherman, he has Livescope. However, none of his 7+ pound fish have come from Livescope. Where it's helped him though, is he's been able to see structure. One fish that I was out there for, boat flipped a freaking 8-pounder. He did not see the fish. On his scope, he saw a tree out there and he said, you know what? I bet you there's a fish over there. And he threw out a big swim bait and drug it. Because he saw the tree. Did not see the fish at all. boat floats an 8-pounder. Now again, it is a huge tool, but none of his big fish, his PBs, none of them have come using Livescope. My buddy Chris, who I talked about at the very beginning, when we figured out, how to target these bass, he has Livescope. However, his PB, 10-1, came on a chatterbait before he even had Livescope. Now, has he caught a lot more big caliber fish using the Livescope? Absolutely. But his PB came before that. My personal best, I don't think I've caught anything over 6 pounds using Livescope just yet. My personal best came on a frog. Again, no forward-facing sonar. I've been out there plenty of times and seen big fish and had opportunities, but sometimes those fish don't react. And that's the name of the game with fishing, is going out there and seeing how, for me at least, is going out there, seeing how these fish react to these baits. Okay, what can I do next time when I run into that same situation and they're not reacting to this? What can I do? What can I go throw at them to entice them to bite? Again, Livescope forward-facing sonar is a huge advantage. Absolutely huge advantage. But there are guys that are plenty successful without it. Now again, would all these records be getting broken without Livescope? We have no way of knowing. We have no way of knowing because the fact of the matter is they caught them actively targeting fish with forward-facing sonar. Actively targeting with it. We have no idea of knowing if they would have been able to do it without. Again, there are guys that are able to figure out their 2D sonar. There are guys with a wealth of knowledge that can go out there and do the same thing without forward-facing sonar. I think that is a huge tool. I think it's a big advantage. I think it's a great advantage and a great tool for going out and targeting big fish. Not just big bass. Here in Oklahoma, we've had world records shattered of spoonbill using Livescope. Snagging spoonbill using Livescope. The bottom line is, and the fact of the matter is, you see these fish, you can go out and you can see the structure, you can see where they're at, you're able to target them, but you still have to make these fish bite. Again, Livescope forward-facing sonar is not the cheat code. It is not something that you can just go right out, target a fish, and catch that fish. It does not work that way. You still have to make them bite. Okay? This is my second time shooting this video, and I had to come back and talk about it again because, Ben Milliken has been able to put out a lot of, or a couple of his videos now. Baitman is putting out some videos now from the Sixth Sense crew, going out with Captain Ron, and Justin Royal, these guys just catching monster fish. And again, they had a huge advantage, but they were good enough to get these fish to bite. So, I don't think that there's any reason to hate on anybody with Livescope. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's your prerogative. There's nothing wrong with that. That's your opinion. My opinion is, I've learned a lot from it, and I love it. Again, none of my big fish have come from it. They've come from blind casting and just working what I know, but it's also helped me to know where I'm out there fishing and where I think those fish might be from being able to see their behavior with a forward-facing sonar. That's where it's helped me out. So if you had the opportunity to go out and fish with Livescope, don't go out there and just think that I'm going to go out and catch fish every single time, because it's probably not going to work that way. But if you go out there with the mindset that I can learn something from this, that I can watch those fish, I can see how they react to a bait, especially a jerkbait. It's so cool to see how they react to a jerkbait. It's so cool to see that, if that slow retrieve didn't work, maybe if I speed it up, what happens? How are these fish going to react? What are they doing in these certain water temps? What are they doing at this depth? What are they doing around this structure? Go out there and use it as a tool to learn. It will teach you so much about fish behavior. and it's a game changer, again. Now, again, if you guys want to have a conversation in the comment section, let's do it. Let's talk. I have no problem talking about it, you know? If you want me to bring somebody on here and we sit here and we discuss Livescope and the pros and cons of it, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I want to know what you think. If you like it, if you don't like it, and if you don't, why don't you? If you do, why do you? I just want to hear from people and get your general, get the general consensus on what people think about it. Again, I think I've stated where I stand on it, but I would like to hear from you guys and let me know what you think. Now, if you like the video, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, share the video. Let's create a conversation. Let's create dialogue. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. It is right down there. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Again, I appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you next time we're on the water.